So you've been keeping to your regimen, you've been protective styling, you've been moisturizing and sealing, you've been washing your hair very regularly, but yet you experienced a major setback and that is affecting you. So let's talk about how we get over a hair setback. Welcome back to my channel where I break down the fundamentals of my hair care. My name is Dina and over here we talk about everything relaxed hair care. So if that's something that you're interested in, by all means, please do consider sticking around, giving this video a big thumbs up and subscribing to the Hair Gang family over here. So you have experienced a massive hair setback and you're wondering, what did I do wrong? How do I get over this? Where do I even start? So this video is taking you through the emotional roller coaster of getting a setback, but also how do we go about recovering from a setback? I don't know about you, but I've had my few share of setbacks. As recently as last year, I had another major setback. That's two major setbacks that I've had within my hair care journey that I had to cut off quite a bit or significant amount of my hair. So the first one being early on in my hair journey, I inserted some braids in my hair. I was taking them out. I wasn't careful in detangling my hair prior to getting my hair washed. And so my hair became extremely matted and I experienced quite a bit of breakage. Fast forward a few years later, last year, the same thing happened. But this time I was a little bit more careful with detangling my hair. So to this day, I'm still trying to figure out how did things really get so bad. But at the same time, both occurrences ended up with me having to snip off a good amount of hair. So needless to say that during those two occurrences that I had quite a bit of emotions. So if you're on a hair journey or any sort of journey and something goes awry, you sort of feel, almost like a failure because you've been putting in the work and then you're not necessarily rewarded. Because for a hair growth journey, it's healthy hair, it's long hair. So anytime you do have to make that snip, it's sort of, what did I do wrong? That's how you generally end up feeling. Other times you want to give up because you don't know what you did wrong and you're trying to burst your brain to try and figure out, where did I falter? And of course, in all of that, there's so much pressure to return to the natural hair community, right? And to be fair, natural hair, although it has its complexities, it doesn't break as much. You probably don't receive as much setbacks as we do with relaxed hair. And then sometimes you kind of don't want to start over. You just want to stick with what you have. So regardless of how much your hair would have broken off, regardless of how much shedding you would have encountered, you don't want to cut. You don't want to do anything. You just want to continue living as is, because letting go of that piece of hair is, is very emotional for you. So although you tend to feel, sad and down, there's this bit of anger as well within you because you are frustrated, you don't know what to do. So this video is all about how do you get over this emotional roller coaster when you would have had a hair setback. So here are some tips that I've come up with to get you over that emotional slump. So let's go. Tip number one, assess the state of your hair and just decide where it is that you want to go. So in my case, my ends looked terrible. And at that point, I had to stop and reset and think, Adina, do you want to continue with long, thin ends? Or do you want to start over with fresh, blunt, and thick ends? And so at that point, I had to make a decision to cut my hair. So always assess where your hair is at, what damage would have been done, and how you plan to get over it. Tip number two, you have to have that mindset of starting over. Now, in my case, I had to cut off 6 inches. In your case, maybe you might have to take off 8. Maybe you might have to take off 2. Whatever the case is, a lot of the times when we do have hair setbacks, it requires us to cut our hair and start again. And believe you me, it's an emotional decision. I remember the other day, someone on Facebook was asking me,
what do I do to get thick ends or to get my hair looking fuller because my ends look very thin and fine.
And my first comment was, cut your hair. And she said, no, I am not cutting my hair. Someone else in the comments was saying, but this is what you have to do in order to start over. But I was reminded that it really takes a lot of emotional strength to cut off your hair. We as females, we become really attached to our hair. And so after you've spent so many years growing your hair, regardless of the health of it, once your hair is long, you feel good because generally you don't see black women with long, thick, beautiful hair. So when you have gotten your hair to such a length, it really takes a lot to cut your hair. But you have to develop that mindset. So that's tip number 2, develop that mindset that you have to cut in order to see, healthier, thicker, fuller hair. Tip number 3, never forget the mistakes that you made. Remember the mistakes that you make. And I think this goes across not just your hair journey, but life. You don't want to keep on going down that road. And for me, I had it twice. I thought I tried on the second occasion to really, detangle my hair before going in the shower. But for some reason, it just did not work. So never keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. Know what caused you to get that damage or to get that hair loss. And trust me, don't repeat it because you're going to be faced with a myriad of emotions again. And that's the point when you start to feel like you're a failure because keep messing up. Tip number 4, research different techniques, whether it is that you're going on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Google, you're reading books, whatever it is, or articles online, whatever it is, research and get some techniques that you think you can integrate into your hair regimen in order to improve, how your hair looks. Sometimes you're doing it all alone and you're not seeing the results. Maybe somebody else's technique may actually fit with your regimen and your hair type. So shop around, as they would say, and find something that suits you. Tip number 5, be cautious about utilizing new products. Now, I know sometimes we cannot resist purchasing something on the opinion of someone else. So maybe you're following someone on one of the social platforms like me, and this person is talking about how great this product is and you should get it. And you're tempted to get it because you're seeing how this person's hair is thriving. But you have just recently come off of a setback and you're rethinking or assessing where you want to get. It could either be that you want to try out products like them, or maybe you have products within your arsenal that are really good for your hair. Sometimes I think there's a bit of hesitancy on my part to start new products after a setback because you don't know. It's a 50-50 chance because you really don't know how that product is going to react to your hair. And at times, it's because you would have tried new products that's why you ended up with the setback, right? Because let's be honest, sometimes setbacks are not due to protective styles. Setbacks are not always due to overuse of heat and over manipulation. Sometimes setbacks are due to the types of products that you use. So be conscious of involving new or integrating new products into your hair regimen. Tip number 6, protective styles. Now, I did a whole video on protective styles, the types of protective styles that you can put in your hair, etc. But in my case, it was a protective style that resulted in me getting so much breakage. And maybe not so much the protective style, but how I would have manipulated my hair after. Sometimes it's good, all well and good, to put in a protective style, but when you're removing that protective style, you have to be so careful, you have to be so gentle, because at the end of the day, you're leaving in that protective style for a few weeks. You're not combing your hair. In some instances, you're not washing your hair, and so your hair tends to mat or your hair tends to clump together because there's no way for the shedded hair to come out. So removing the protective style sometimes becomes more dangerous to your hair regimen than the actual protective style. But of course, there are times when protective styles, if you're braiding your hair and your hair is braided too tightly, can actually rip out your edges, etc. But for me, in this instance, what I mean by protective styles is those styles like this. Well, this ain't really protective, right? But if I wanted to go protective, I would wrap my hair around and protect my ends. So I'm more speaking about the buns. I'm more speaking about the low maintenance styles. Those styles that don't require you to use too many combs or too many brushes. Less is more, and I can't stress that enough. The less you do with your hair, the less you're likely to manipulate, and of course, the less you're likely to see breakage. So that's how you recover from a setback, by doing sometimes very minimal because of protective styles. And my very, very last and final tip is sometimes you just gotta break the rules and do what works for you. And I say that not with a heavy heart. I don't say that with any regret. I say that with my chest high. Sometimes we look around and we look at, we read up on these things about what we're supposed to be doing to maintain healthy hair and, to maintain thicker and fuller ends. And we see them and we're like, yes, but when I do them, my hair feels weird or my hair feels dry. So for instance, one of these things is air drying. So we praise air drying within the relaxed hair community. Why? Because it's a less heat on your hair, and we know that heat tends to dry out your hair. But in some instances, guys, I know there's so many persons who air dry their hair and their hair is left feeling drier than if you do use a blow dryer or use a flat iron. So sometimes it's just about doing what works for you. If you find that when you flat iron or you blow dry your hair, that your hair is easier for you to style, easier for you to manipulate, you get less breakage, etc., less shedding from this technique, then do what works for you. Don't go doing the air drying thing and then next thing your hair is just breaking off left, right, and center, or because you want to follow these healthy hair tips. Sometimes we just have to do what works for us, and it may not be in line with the rules, but at the end of the day, you're doing something that is going to benefit your hair. All right. So yes, guys, those are my 7. I think there were 7. Those are my 7 tips for how you can recover from a setback. Let me know if you've experienced a setback lately and what have you been doing to get over that setback and how has it really affected you emotionally. Let's start a discussion down in the comments because I know I'm not the only one who goes on an emotional roller coaster. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If this is your first time here, remember to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, girl, and join the Hair Gang family. Like, we're growing. We're on the road to 4,000 subs, and I'm really, really, really so thankful for all of you who would have subscribed to my channel. Those of you who are following me over on TikTok, following me over on Instagram, the support is really overwhelming. So thank you guys so much, and of course I'll see you in a next video. Bye.